Welcome to the Eat Better, Move Better, Live Better podcast presented by Flourish with Tracy, where we'll dive into the realms of holistic wellness, plant-based nutrition, yoga, and self-care to help you live your best life. Tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our special segments. Meditation Monday. Start your week with mindfulness. Wellness Wednesdays. Get the midweek boost you need. Sadhana Saturdays. Dedicate weekends to personal growth. Join us as we explore and discuss all things to eat better, move better, and live better. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Today we're going to focus on rewiring our brain. And this is through the repeated focus. And repeated focus is repetition. And there's actually a science to it. Across spiritual traditions, healing practices, and contemplative sciences, repetition has always been a doorway, whether through mantra, prayer, breath awareness, ritual, or movement. Only recently has neuroscience given us the language for why these practices work. This is not about forcing the brain into submission. It's about understanding how the brain learns safety, focus, and coherence through repeated signals. So it begins with understanding that the brain is an organ that recognizes patterns. It begins in infancy. The brain learns through repetition. Repeated sounds become language, repeated movements become coordination, repeated emotional responses become coping strategies. Neurons communicate through electrical and chemical signals. When a pathway is used repeatedly, it becomes efficient. This process is summarized as neurons that fire together, wire together. Repetition strengthens sympathetic connections. The brain literally reshapes itself based on what it encounters again and again. This is why habits form, both helpful and harmful. The brain does not judge the quality of the repetition. It simply encodes the frequency. So this is important to understand that whatever we repeat, whether it's our thoughts, words, emotions, or focus, it becomes easier to return to it. The brain does, however, have the capacity to change. And this practice is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to how the brain can reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Scientists believe for many years that the adult brain was fixed. We know this is not true. Repetition allows the brain to change. When a signal is repeated, the insulation around the brain thickens, signals travel faster and more efficiently, and the brain begins to prefer that pathway. And repetition then creates default routes within the brain. Meditation, mantra, and focus repetition work because it offers the brain an alternative default. They don't eliminate thought. They help rewire. Over time, the brain learns that this is a safe place to return to. The prefrontal cortex of our brain governs attention, decision-making, and impulse control. It's also where self-awareness lies. And when we repeatedly return our attention to a single point, such as our breath or a mantra, we are strengthening that route, that region. Each return to repetition is not a failure. You're actually training your repetition. That's why meditation is not about staying focused. It's about noticing distraction and returning to stillness. Every return activates an executive function. It activates what's called metacognition, being aware of being aware, and it regulates emotion. Repetition then teaches the brain how to disengage from stimulation that's unnecessary, how to stabilize your attention, and how to pause so that you can respond instead of react. And in this way, the repetition becomes a form of mental strength training. So there's a group of regions in our brain that become active when our mind is not focused. And this is associated with worry, referring to ourselves in a non-positive way, or mental looping, time travel, such as keep returning to the past or thinking about the future, just ruminating. And when it's unchecked, it can dominate our consciousness. However, when we focus repetitively through a mantra or meditation, we can quiet that unfocused mind activity. It doesn't eliminate it, but it reduces it. Repetition gives the brain something to hold, predictability, and that creates safety. And safety allows the nervous system to shift from hypervigilance to regulation. The nervous system responds very deeply to rhythm. Repetitive sounds, breath cycles, and movements stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of our body that's responsible for rest, digestion, repair. When repetition is steady and gentle, our heart rate improves, stress hormones decrease, our vagus nerve is stimulated. This is why chanting, drumming, prayer beads, and breath counting appear across several cultures. The body recognizes repetition as containment. The nervous system learns I'm safe enough to rest. And this is not a psychological suggestion, it's a psychological signaling. When repetition is paired with meaning, such as a mantra, it engages emotional and memory centers in the brain. And the system begins to then associate the repeated focus with calm, grounding, and connection. And over time, the mantra itself becomes a cue. And then those repetitions can then shift your mood, interrupt loops of anxiety, and re-anchor you and your attention positively. And this conditioning is called neuroassociation. Your brain has been rewired to move into those states of calm, grounding, and connection with the positive repetition. It remembers. It's the same way your favorite beloved song can instantly change your emotional state when you start singing it or you hear it. The difference is the intention. You are constantly integrating and training the association. So repetition isn't about doing more, it's about returning wisely. Each repetition says to the brain, this is where I choose to place my attention. And then over time, the brain understands and responds. Okay, this is the root. And this is how new neural habits form. This is how the mind learns steadiness. And this is how ancient practices align seamlessly with modern neuroscience. Repetition is not boring to the brain. It's reassuring. It teaches the nervous system consistency. It teaches the mind to focus. It teaches awareness on how to return home. Whether it's through mantra, breath, movement, or sound, repetition is a bridge between intuition and embodiment, between science and spirit, between mind and meaning. The brain is always listening. what we repeat, we become practiced in. And this is why positive affirmations work. Positive repeating, positive repetition, positive rewiring of our brain. So may you choose your repetitions with care, and may they serve you well. Thank you for sharing time and space today. Thanks for tuning in. I hope today's insights help you on a personal journey towards a healthier, happier life. Don't forget to join every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern for more self-care and holistic wellness tips. Before you go, make sure to comment, click the bell, like, and subscribe buttons for upcoming episode notifications. Be sure to always consult a medical professional before making any major changes regarding your health, diet, or routine. In the meanwhile, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, every step you take is one step closer to a better you. Until next time, keep flourishing, and as always, may all be well.